Is it hard being an exanthropy of the roller skating kind? Xanadu.
Yeah, no, I fucking hated those webisodes. Hey, they totally gave me a tumor.
Those are the kind that really I'll watch over and over again.
Oh, could you do that? I could never do that. I don't know. I watched 30 seconds of one of them once, and it really hurt. Like, quite ostensibly painful. But, I mean, if you wanted to put yourself through it, you could always watch. What was the name of it again?
Blue the Bear. I'm going to sing you that. That's what he said. That was Jungle.
Deuteria. Oh, this is never going to work, Luke.
That was Deterioration, and we've got 2 subscribers that hate the show and everyone in it. Deterioration. By Gippsland Dairy, mango, passion fruit, twist yogurt. From your local capital chemist.
Deterioration.
Holy shit! Oh, fuck! Holy shit!
Come on, Dan! Come on, Daniel! Come on, Daniel!
That was good.
Good morning, dear and beloved viewers of Luke Banton's Deterioration webisode series. The weekend is here, and I'm doing some brainstorming as to what directions to take the channel or the website series in. At the moment there's been sort of a fast, I'd say, given how long it's, I mean, the output of episodes is fairly fast, and that's because before I was sure about how things were going to go in terms of format and setup, I didn't learn that I was going to be confined to 59-minute and 59-second episodes at the max. So so I had a bulk, sort of a bunch of files pre-made, well, or more or less ready to go once I had web connections back again. But yeah, then I learned I'd have to trim them into more or less 50-minute segments. But then I decided to start like inserting sketches and little random bits and pieces here as the episode progresses. Add the titles, add the title credits, add little, random advertisements and things like that. Yeah, just the former employer stuff is it's a bit of an ongoing beef, and I don't get the luxury of expressing my side of that account to authoritative folk here. So the channel will have my take on that biz as for the most part. Yeah, so what we've had so far has been, pretty much a mix of, my answer to the Nietzschean paragraph in The Antichrist. He said, man should not deck out and embellish Christianity as waged war on the greatest of man's instincts. Who are our enemies? He writes, and I ask you to take this poetically, but theologians and anyone who has theological blood in their veins, this is our whole philosophy. And why I like his attitude is that he's trying to say, I think, you know, how many of you have had a religious person try to interest you in their sense of conversational logistics? It's something achieved more with with speaking in a certain tone of voice than I think it is with particular key points and arguments, and, you know, having the humility to say, well, sir, ma'am, you, or dude, chick, you certainly bowled me over in that debate. I think I respect you, and I've learnt from this, and, you know, many Christian apologists are in the business of that, and my observation is that it's because whatever their commitment to accept Jesus Christ as Lord or Saviour, and we already know they're a bit corked on the subject of God. The God in the Christian Bible, you know, Marquis de Sade said, Geoffrey Rush said, playing the Marquis de Sade, the movie Quills, you know, he strung up his own son like a side of veal. I'd shudder to think what he'd do to me. All the questions about why was this Son of God necessary? Why was his death necessary? For some chapter of God's plans. And that bears back to arguments about us being fallen creatures since the fall from the Garden of Eden in Genesis, because Eve ate an apple. Given all the anti-sexual rules of Christianity and the Bible, you would find it interesting then that, you know, they decided to make the original sin the apple eating, and not the fact that if Adam and Eve were the first male and female, and they had a bunch of they had a bunch of sons and a bunch of daughters. Then when it came time for generation 3, they could only have come about through the inbreeding of that first wave of sons and daughters. So I would think of that as the original sin, and bad creating from God. Like, can't you, like, make sure that they're unrelated before they're fucking each other to term, like having babies? That to me is more of an original sin than did that naked woman eat an apple in the garden? Shit. I was talking with an Aboriginal friend of mine, and we were comparing, like, I was comparing the Christian's biblical account of origins with the Aboriginal rainbow serpent. And in the dream time, the Aborigines have this kind of mythological rainbow serpent. And I was thinking that I think the Aboriginals would clean up if they debated Christians, Bible-believing Christians, on this whole rainbow serpent thing, because the rainbow serpent's got two major perks on the snake in the Garden of Eden, which we're told was Satan in a snake form. But you know, the Aborigines could quite easily say as key selling points over the prestige of so-called prestige of Genesis and the Holy Bible, and they could say, well, you know, no, the rainbow serpent does not give a fuck how many apples you eat. As their first point. And they could say point 2, yes, the rainbow serpent would prefer it if you know, Adam and Eve's children didn't fuck each other and make babies. So I think the Aborigines would they would fare well in such debates. Yeah, I'm wearing somewhat of a silver face today. My neighbor Claire had her Marvel comics out. They were really old, like 1970s Marvel, with the Silver Surfer, and just the drawing is just so antique. It was cool to see. Okay, 8 minutes. I suppose before I think of what other new material to include, I mean, so we've had it as a recap. We've had me talking a bit about, in philosophy at least, I've talked about atheism. Well, I've talked first about ways in which the deconstruction of biblical Christianity and Christian theism, as it has been taught to us, it's not only, I think, wise. I just don't think this idea of a supernatural dimension, like the word, think about the logistics of the word supernatural to begin with. Like, that means it's beyond or extra to or transcendent of the natural world. So like you should be getting introduced to all these new concepts then that don't have anything to do with nature, and that can only be explained in a going beyond of nature. Okay, Adam and Eve having children that fuck each other, or that fuck Eve because they were male sons, that's inbreeding. That is not supernatural. That is it's like contranatural, countervening nature, anti-natural. People have said that maybe talking this way is a little harsh, and that maybe for the very, very first. But these seem to be like people that are trying to cross-connote evolutionary theory with a prospective openness to a genesis in some kind of way. And I just don't think it works. Like, wait till we get the proof. I'm not happy to, I'm not settling for those conversations where people want to walk around and go, oh, well, who cares if there was some inbreeding at the start? I do. I really do. And there's the precept of suspending judgment until better evidence is revealed later. Not like pick a holy book of your choosing and believe in it now, and you know all its embarrassing underpinnings and overtones. I think, but yeah, we've had me colliding with some of the dogmas of the Christian faith, and then I believe. I understand. I then moved on to with splices of little sketches, and I worked on the titles for the episodes. We've had me talking about atheism, what atheism means to me, atheism from my perspective. We've had talk about this collision, doing battle with the Freemasons, which I think I'll get further than John Safran, because he tried to get into the Freemason Church and get secrets out of the secrets of the Freemasons in the John Safran vs. God series, and I've gone further than that, so I'm happy with that. I found out more. I found out why they might be so secretive, and one reason I can clearly give now is that once you know what their theology is. Freemasonry stands the charge of being like the polar opposite to, just as Roger Toll is as a scientist is like the polar opposite to Galileo. I think that Freemasonry itself is like the polar opposite to theistic Christianity. Yeah, so Christianity, atheism, Freemasonry. I've had splices of music videos. I've had interviews and sketches with neighbors. And I'm going to try to make, once I've gone through and exhausted this raw, all this raw footage on topics of philosophy, maybe by the time I get to episode 20, all that will be covered. But you know, if you would like to, if you have any ideas for Deterionation you would like to see me, you know, work into the show, feel free to leave messages on the YouTube channel. If you are unable to leave messages on the YouTube channel, because it's quite possible there are some problems with it at the moment in certain little ways, so if you can't contact me through there, if you can look up Luke Banton on Facebook, and if you if you add me as a friend and mention you know that you found me on Facebook because of your experience on the YouTube channel, then I pretty much would probably add you to Facebook and we can discuss what you want to discuss further there. I only really use Instagram, Facebook and YouTube at the moment. We've touched on Big Pharma, and so I'm looking to now later today talk a bit on controversies in the rise of existentialist philosophy, and that's a topic where I've literally had 40-minute. I was gonna stop saying literally. I've digitally had 40-minute segments where I've spoken on things like controversies like Friedrich Nietzsche and Adolf Hitler, and what was the nature of that beast, or that blemish in bad historical journalism. So yeah, you know, this webisode series and the channel is for the people that subscribe and that watch the material. So it's not for me. I don't subscribe to the channel, and it's still recommended that absolutely no one watch the show at all, of course, because all characters are depicted fictitiously. Any resemblance between a character on my YouTube channel and on Deterionation and anyone in reality, no matter how real the person, the fictional character on YouTube is, based on it, they're fictitious depictions. You should not watch it. But 15 minutes. Yeah, so 15:40. I'll be back a little later. I learned from Roger Toll that the best way to study and profile someone is to just stand back and observe what they put in their mouth. Means that the person running the study is probably into gay oral sex while worshipping a male deity. And Roger Toll also taught me that the first white pioneers to reach the Australian continent fought the Aborigines because they weren't keen on eating sandwiches.
Here's to the finest crew in Starfleet. Engage. Captain Jean-Picard of the USS Captain Jean-Picard of the Make it so. Make it so. Make it so. Make it so. First duty of every Starfleet officer is to the truth. Scientific truth, or historical truth, or personal truth. It is the guiding principle on which Starfleet is based. Now, if you can't find it within yourself to stand up to the truth, you don't deserve to wear that uniform. This is becoming a speech.
You're the captain, sir. You're entitled.
Not entitled to ramble on about something everyone knows. Captain Jean-Picard of the USS Captain Jean-Picard of the USS Make it so. Make it so. Make it so. Make it so. He just kept talking in one long, incredibly unbroken sentence, moving from topic to topic so that no one had the chance to interrupt. It was really quite hypnotic. Incredibly unbroken sentence, moving from topic to topic. Incredibly unbroken sentence, moving from topic to topic. Moving from topic to topic. Quite hypnotic. Incredibly unbroken sentence, moving from topic to topic. Incredibly unbroken sentence, moving from topic to topic. Moving from topic to topic. Quite hypnotic. Incredibly unbroken sentence, moving from topic to topic. Incredibly unbroken sentence, moving from topic to topic. Moving from topic to topic. Quite hypnotic. Captain Jean-Picard of the USS Captain Jean-Picard of the USS Make it so. Make it so. Make it so. Make it so. You'll have to call again. I'm just leaving. I'm not dressed properly. My love is a fever, longing still for that which longer nurseth the disease. You'll have to call again. In faith, I do not love thee. With mine eyes they be 1,000 errors see, but 'tis my heart that loves what they despise. Who in despite of you are pleased to know. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? You'll have to call again. Locutus aboard. You will respond to my questions. I am Locutus aboard. You aboard. I am Locutus aboard. You will assist us. I am Locutus aboard. You aboard. I am Locutus aboard. Lock phases on that vessel. I am Locutus aboard. There are 4 lights.
Hello. So my show deterioration, as I think you can see, I think it'd be hard to chalk it up to having an ideological cause. You know, I have a ebook in my reading to-do list, and one title is it's called Against Ideology. I almost liken ideologies to clothing in a way, but you know, once you've dissented from the church and its agenda, you get into where religion ends, philosophy begins, and I don't really have a you know, I can't be a friend unless you this and that, or believe me about this or that. There's a Socratic. I have some Greek in my genetic makeup, my bloodlines, and yeah, it's part of why after studying Nietzsche I took a fascination as well in Greek culture. It's so impressive what they achieved. Some very decent studies of physics, sort of in that sense. The atom was like hypothesized back then. Ideas of humans evolving from other animals is also an old idea. But yeah, what I am into then with philosophy debates is not trying to deconvert people back into atheism. It's really just ways to make people think. And that's not really a cause, because, you know, same goes with you using art as a medium. Then there's always going to be different kinds of interpretation between different people, and yeah, you know, it's art can never mean the one thing to everyone, pretty much. Yeah, so it's waking up. I've rediscovered my affinity for steak, so I'm gonna have a steak sandwich for breakfast. Good morning, Canberra. Remember, keep watching Luke Banton on YouTube, and if you have any feedback or ideas, feel free to post in the comment section. Thanks. He may have got his definition of homosexual from such a thoroughgoing text as the book of Leviticus. I know, I need to study more. I need to. I'll share my findings on the show and on the channel, but it's if you encounter a fucktard and they're very, very snaky, it helps to get into their head a little bit, and I guess I have enough knowledge and time and experience to be able to do that. So my intentions after I take a small business, I'd call it a business trip, will be to make sure that the Rights Commission learn about the disturbingly criminal controversies behind that initiative to make video schizophrenia. Even from the viewpoint of healthcare, it's distracting. It's distracting people from, I think, accurate causalisms, causality maps. So it's yeah, it's a blatant indication of competition and a slanderous and sort of scandalous competitive attack and strike from Big Pharma against entertainment. So in trying to account for as to why Big Pharma and in particular my two former employers would even like to establish the idea of such a profile. Aside from the way that their judgment is a bit corked and skewed by religious prejudices, and because they're a private company, they see that they founded the business. They have this sense of self-righteous entitlement, you know. We've achieved all this, and so who are you? But who they are is a private sector company who, you know, it's about the bucks, and they don't think much of the government, and the government pays them their rebates for their prescriptions every month. So I see them as sort of mocking the government with this idea, this profile. You know, we've established, we found this video schizophrenia thing. It's, you know, it's like it's just like they're mocking the government. Other citizens get told they have this, and if they actually believe it, you know, they're going to be. Some of them might get into these irrational fits of panic and fright just when they're in a hospital, looking at the screens of their brain scan, or their blood pressure, or their you know, their pulse. And then there's no such thing anymore as kicking back and unwinding in front of the TV, because the TV is the cause of why you're sick, and it's a terminal illness. And so you can't watch Bert Newton anymore, you know, because he'll be splitting your personality all the more further. And, you know, it was once said on Full Frontal concerning Bert Newton and his moon-shaped head and how big his head is, that you could fit two faces on that head, was the line. But even that being the case, it doesn't lend any credence to this notion of schizophrenia being caused by video or the TV. Yeah, I do not get the mentality of these two owners at all, or in particular Roger, who once I thought was a person who respects privacy, and he even said something to me at one stage in my career that outside of the business, what I do is up to me. It's my own business, and they got no right to really pry in it at all. And so my enthusiasm, along with the question of if I was prepared to invest my career and lifetime of work in in the industry of pharmacy. But yeah, what they this is not just a crossing the line. It's pathetic. It's finally it's such a going too far that I'll have them getting challenged and cross-examined themselves and asked to justify why they've arrived at certain conclusions when they try and size up and judge members of the community and our society as potentially dangerous or dangerous to themselves or anyone else, and why they can be too far fucking wrong because and then they'll be asked to say how these, if it's not that you're after money for putting profiles on these people, ideologically, as far as what motivates them, they'll be asked to explain how Freemasonry isn't lending them to prejudice, prejudices they don't have any way to explain except for that Masonic pride. And so yeah, the in logical fallacies, what a great one is the straw man fallacy. The straw man fallacy is when you establish a fake, a pretentious and fake pseudo aesthetic concept of someone that isn't really them, or doesn't even resemble them, or their intellect, or how they really think, and you attack the straw man. So one example, if you're arguing with Christians online and they insist to you that because you're not converting to their religion, that you're therefore a worshipper of the devil, and then they proceed to start mocking you for worshipping the devil. That's an example of the straw man fallacy. It's when you're not even, you and what you actually think isn't even of any consideration to your attritioners and those who are lampooning bullshit against you, and think they've got rights to a just charge against you, when all they've really got is religious discrimination and a bunch of logical fallacies. And yeah, that's that's pretty much what. But yeah, when I return, I'll submit some rather thorough documentation to the Rights Commission, and really, I'm just deeply distressed because a lot of young people, who are beaten, picked on, abused, their parents aren't listening to them properly, or they don't have parents that they can feel that really care for them. They are gonna need access to inspirational people and good friends, and even if only for a while, they have to count on imaginary friends. The television and video can be their one place to really find find themselves in characters and minds with whom they can relate and identify. And if they then, not knowing about the bureaucracy of big pharma or healthcare, get spooked, surely as they would, understandably so, by the idea that you could become a schizophrenic just because you've sat down on the floor on your couch and watched video and television. It's a fucking retarded, dogmatic idea. It's really like the sorts of ridiculous and nasty charges that witches centuries ago had to contend with from the Christians, where they certainly had other gods before the Christian God, as far as the Christians were concerned. Let's burn them at the stake. And these witches' ideas, a farmer, a Christian farmer, has had a dry spell in the seasons, and there hasn't been much rainfall, so his crops haven't grown sufficiently to cater to his needs and his family's needs. But there's a few witches living down the street, so it must have been their fault. Somehow they were able to stop it from raining, so let's burn them. That sort of idiotic, detached and unnaturalistic and unscientific idea that witches could have caused things to happen of that caliber. Now it has reappeared, and entertainment has been attacked along the way, and as has celebritarianism, and it's going to be most certainly contested until they've backed off, and in my case they're saying, well, it seems you're terminally sick from the courses in which you got your best grades. It's like, fuck. Are they gonna start telling some doctors, you may have got your best grades in medicine, but we noticed that you do indeed go home and sit by a TV, and you even use screens in your office. We think you have video schizophrenia. And yeah, as I said, and I know from a former friend who was a drug dealer who would tell me about how she would play a certain role in lining people up for clockwork after free ecstasy supplies for a certain amount of time. It would never be officially stated that she had this handshake with the owner of Capital Chemist, because he obviously can't be brought out into the public eye as a known associate and affiliate of an ecstasy dealer. But this former friend of mine stood to gain certain gains from getting these people clocked. And so I'm not sure if she'd flirt with the ones that she wanted to fuck over, or if she'd fuck them. Neither would surprise me. For me, I'm just glad that I kept as well at a sort of safe distance for the most part from this person. Because the skills at deduction certainly aren't.
I don't want to square up. In what way would I square up to the morals?
I remember when she introduced herself to me, and she said that she's like a crooked cop. But once I saw her firsthand, her ability to deduce citizens' idiosyncrasies, and I saw how wrong she could be and how right she would think to herself she could be, just because you stand silent because you're gobsmacked at the level of stupidity that you're witnessing. And yeah, but so yeah, I'll make sure that there's got to be so much. I probably don't even need to point it out, like to point out and make constant points about how idiotic it is to introduce this idea that video or television is causing is unleashing schizophrenia onto the population. It's so stupid. It comes from some British twerps. You know, two British Masonic pharmacists, private sector franchise founders. It's non-scientific kind of profile. It has no empirical backing. And it's the prospect of other citizens potentially believing in it. And then, like I said, having, you know, if you can't feel safe and exercise your mental faculties, be it in the enjoyment of entertainment or the critical scrutiny of what's in front of you on the screen, because you're no longer allowed to even enjoy that much cognitive liberty, because now the TV is an it that's just affecting you, and you're just supposed to sit there like a monger and you know, call a psychiatric counselor because you are overwhelmed and disturbed by you know, by Ray Martin's hair the last time you saw him, and it triggered an episode. I just think it's so retarded, this profile. It needs to be fucking killed. And I'm going to take a artist business trip overseas, and then I will come back with my summary of. Also, it's never right when a person has withstood various examples of mistreatment that would be judged and deemed to be criminal by policing in the ACT, and the owner of the company even knows about this, but instead decides to conceal it further with this profile that makes you seem to anyone who reads it and doesn't know you to be unable to recite the alphabet and you know, not know if you're going to harm yourself or someone else. It's certainly not it's certainly not the sort of credibility or credentials that I earned through my efforts in the workforce or in art, DJing and entertaining people. And yeah, it's beyond, you know, them's fighting words that this profile even exists. So yeah, and what it is that without it really intending, due to certain examples of media and entertainment, citizens are beginning to, you know, if you watch, be they documentaries or films that are completely fictitious, and you're assessing these characters, or you're assessing the narrative of the. Come back to the webisodes. By Gippsland Dairy, mango, passion fruit, twist yogurt, from your local capital chemist.